right, thank you for clicking on part 2. So we just said we need opposites. So how in the world do we make opposites? Well, remember, we can manipulate equations. We can add whatever we want on one side to the other. We can also multiply by one side and multiply by the other. And so in order to make opposites, we need to multiply both sides. Multiply both sides. That looks a little funny. Let's write it out. Multiply. Multiply both sides. All right, so what we want to do is make opposites. So what we want to do is make opposites for one of the variables. So I see in front of the x, it's an 8 and a 2. I could make opposites there, but the easier ones would be in front of the y's. So in front of the y right now, the coefficient's -1, and this coefficient is also -1. So I think that that's going to be my easiest route, is to make an opposite for the y's. So I'm going to choose this bottom equation because it has smaller numbers. So remember, we can multiply one side of the equation, and as long as we also multiply the other side by the same thing, it comes out equal, just like in solving equations. So to make this the opposite of -1, I want this to be +1. So to get to that, I'm going to multiply by -1. And whatever I do to one side, I'm going to do to the other. So that's going to change that equation into -2x plus y equals -6. It's the same basic equation, I just multiplied both sides by -1. Now when I rewrite the top equation, 8x minus y equals 24, now I see I have those opposites. So I'm going to highlight that I made opposites for the y's right there. And I made that by multiplying both sides by -1. All right, so now we can do this fun trick of adding our equations together. 8x minus 2x is 6x. The y's will now cancel out because they're opposites. And that will equal 24 minus 6, which is 18. Now it's just a simple equation to solve. We divide both sides by 6, and we have x is going to equal 3. Now we know the x is 3. We can easily find the y. We can plug it into either equation, really. I'm going to go with one of the originals to make sure that there wasn't some sort of mistake in rewriting things. So I'm going to choose the bottom one, again, simply because it has smaller numbers. That bottom equation was 2x minus y equals 6 originally. I found that x is 3, so I'll plug in 2 times 3. Minus y equals 6, which means 6, take away something will still equal 6. Hopefully you're seeing that the y would be 0, but let's show the work there. Subtracting 6 from both sides would leave me with, I'll write it over here, -y would equal 0. Dividing by -1 means y is still equal to 0. So now let's check. Let's see if we were correct. Remember, we need to check both equations. So equation 1 was 8x minus y equals 24. And equation 2 was, here, let me zoom out a little bit so you can see this. Equation 2 was 2x minus y equals 6. All right, and we're checking our solution 3, 0. So that means we would have 8 times 3 minus 0 should equal 24, which means 24 minus 0 should equal 24. And 24 minus 0 is 24. So we know it checks out for the first one. Checking the second, we would have 2 times 3 minus 0 equals 6, which means 6 minus 0 should equal 6, and 6 minus 0 is 6, and so it checks out for the second one. All right, let's try that again now with number 7. Again, this is one, I'll zoom back in. This is again one where we don't already have opposites. We need to make opposites. So what would be easier? Making opposites out of 5 and 4, or making opposites out of 8 and 8? Well, I would see this one as easier. Since this one has smaller numbers, I'll go ahead and multiply this one. How do I change 8 into the opposite of 8? Well, we multiply both sides by -1. -1. There we go. All right, so I'm going to rewrite the top one. I know that one's not changing. 5x plus 8y equals 4. And then when I multiply the bottom one on both sides by -1, it's going to change the signs of everything. So now it'll be -4x minus 8y equals -8. Now that I've done that, I can add these equations together because I've got those opposites. Again, if you need to highlight, the opposites here are the y's because we multiplied this one by -1. 5x minus 4x is 1x. These cancel out to 0, so x is just going to equal -4. Don't mind that bell. All right, we already have one of our numbers for our answer. We have that x is -4, so now we just solve for y. I'm going to choose the bottom original equation, so 4x plus 8y equals 8. I now know that x is -4, so I will take out the x and I'll replace it with a -4, plus 8y equals 8. 4 times -4 is -16, plus 8y equals 8. We add the 16 to both sides. We get 8y equals 24. I'm going to rewrite that over here. 8y equals 24. Divide both sides by 8, and we get y is equal to 3. All right, so now we're saying that our answer should be -4, 3. So remember, over to the side, we're going to check equation 1 and equation 2. Equation 1 and equation 2. Equation 1 was 5x plus 8y equals 4. Equation 2 was 4x plus 8y equals 8. All right, and we are going to plug in our answer and make sure that it works for both equations. Using x is -4, I would have 5 times -4 plus the y is 3, and those together should equal 4. 5 times -4 is -20, plus 8 times 3 is 24, should equal 4. And let's think, -20 plus 24 is going to give me +4, and so that works out. Equation 2, we would get 4 times -4 plus 8 times 3 should come out to 8. 4 times -4 is -16, plus 8 times 3 is 24, should come out to 8. And -16 plus 24 does come out to +8, so we know this answer is correct. All right, one more where we need to make the opposites ourselves. This time I see that it might be easier to make opposites for the x's because it's already the same number. I just need to change the sign. This time I see smaller numbers at the top one, so I'm going to choose that one, but really you could choose either one. I'm going to multiply this side by -1. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So that's going to change this whole equation into -3x minus 5y equals +5. We're changing the signs on everything. Then I'll rewrite the bottom equation, 3x plus 8y equals -26. Now that we have opposites, we can combine our like terms. -3x plus 3x cancels out. -5y plus 8y gives me +3y. And 5 minus 26, or -26 plus 5, is going to give me -21. Dividing both sides by 3, we get that y is equal to -7. All right, so we already know that y is -7. Now we find the x. I'm going to use the top original. So that one was 3x plus 5y equals -5. I now know that the y is -7, so that's the one I'll substitute. So 3x plus 5 times -7 will equal -5. That means 3x minus 35 will equal -5. We add the 35 to both sides. Kind of running out of space here. I get 3x equals 30. I'm going to rewrite that over here. 3x equals 30. Dividing both sides by 3 tells me that x is equal to 10. All right, so there's my answer. I'm going to check it in both equations over here. Equation 1 was 3x plus 5y equals -5. Equation number 2 was 3x plus 8y equals -26. Don't mind that bell. So replacing the x with 10, we would have 3 times 10, plus replacing the y with -7 would give us 5 times -7, and hopefully it comes out equal to 5. 3 times 10 is 30, plus 5 times -7 is -35. Hopefully this comes out equal to 5. I made a mistake in writing this right here. This is -5 on this side. So now 30 plus -35, that gives me -5. And so that does work out. All right, equation 2, we would have 3 times instead of x, I'll write 10. Plus 8 times instead of y, I'll write -7. Should come out to -26. 3 times 10 is 30, plus 8 times -7 is -56. Should come out to -26. And let's think 30 plus negative 56 is going to give me negative 26. And so I know that comes out equal, which means my answer is correct. All right, so the whole idea behind elimination requires us to have opposites. So practice. Get a term to eliminate each other. If we had 3x and x, how would I make these coefficients opposites? Well, this one is 3. How would I turn this one into a negative 3? I would multiply by negative 3. And so that would be 3x and negative 3x now. Okay, what about 5y and 5y? How would I make them opposites? How would they eliminate each other? Well, I'd have to multiply one of them by negative 1. I'll go ahead and choose this one. And so now it's going to be negative 5y and 5y. That's an and symbol. All right, what about here? We have negative 8x, negative 4x, 3y, 5y, and the constants don't matter. So let's look at these. I'm going to choose the x's here, because I see that I could multiply a 4 by something to make it an 8. The sign is different though, so I want the sign to be positive. So let's multiply this one by negative 2 and see what happens. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So that would turn this into 8x minus 10y equals positive 4. Would I have opposites now? Yeah, the opposites would be the x's. All right, what about this one? I have 3x and 4x. I have 6z and 2z, and the constants don't matter. We don't need to eliminate constants. All right, so between 3 and 4 and 6 and 2, I think I'm going to work with the 6 and 2, because I know I could multiply 2 by 3 to make it 6, but I want one of them to be opposite, so I'll make this a negative 3 that I'll multiply by. And then whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I'll multiply both sides by negative 3 there, which would turn this one into negative 12x minus 6z would equal positive 18. And now I see that I've got opposites here for the z's. Okay, so we'll be working on that one a little bit more tomorrow. Remember to try the exit ticket. Sorry we had such long videos today. I promise I'll give you some more time. I won't take up too much of your time in the beginning of class. Try the exit ticket. Let me know if you're having a hard time. Yay, math!